I'm in Florida right now, and I flew Spirit to Miami yesterday, and I just woke up to the text message that Spirit has literally shut down. So now I have to figure out a way to get home. That's a really, really great email to wake up to. Sorry, your flight has been canceled, ultimately. Okay.
I've never been one to cheat, and I will never cheat on my airlines. I never went on Spirit, and I'm glad I never went on Spirit Airlines because you got me messed up. Imagine going to the airport, and then on the terminal TVs, you see Spirit Airlines is out of business, and your flight to Miami is now not happening. Yeah, I never bought them, even though they were $27 flights to Miami. There's a reason why they were $27 flights to Miami. And now they're out of business. I'm sorry for everyone who lost their job. 18,000 employees lost their job. Dang, bro.
This morning, Spirit Airlines announced it's going out of business after 34 years. All flights have been canceled, and now thousands of employees are suddenly out of work. Last week, the Trump administration proposed a $500 million taxpayer bailout that reportedly would have given the government up to a 90% stake in the company. Yesterday, President Trump said his administration had made its final proposal. Ultimately, no deal could be reached.
I knew Spirit was struggling when they tried to do discounted stand-up seats. You could pay a discounted rate, still fly, but you would have to stand up. They tried it. I don't even know if they really installed those seats into the airplane, but it was proposed for sure. I remember seeing headlines about it. I'm like, who would do that? That's when I was like, yeah, they struggling. They just trying to find a way to come up with money. Now, I used to fly Spirit. I ain't gonna hold you. People would be like, you fly Spirit, you gonna turn into a Spirit. Spirit got you there. I don't need peanuts or pretzels, you know what I'm saying? I don't need to pay extra for that. I don't even want that in the first place. I don't need a water. I'm good. I don't want to have to get up and go to the bathroom, you know? The Spirit crowd probably gonna try to tap into Frontier, but Frontier might be next on the chopping block. I don't know. Jet fuel is just too expensive right now for these discounted rates. Let alone, like I said, Spirit Ben was struggling. A lot of aircrafts probably gonna have to be sold in order to subsidize the losses or outweigh the losses. There will be less planes flying. The aircrafts will be more packed. They'll be packed to capacity. There's no more days of you not having nobody sitting next to you. And if you didn't pay enough for the flight, your flight might get canceled. Surcharges as well on flights moving forward. The airline industry about to struggle, man. Way worse than when COVID was going on.
So the only warning that you got was when?
Today. We tried to see the tickets and we saw the message on the big screen that it said that we cannot, that they were canceling our flights.
All flights have been canceled effective immediately, and they're not offering rebooking services right now, telling passengers to book with other airlines. Several carriers have stepped up, which is certainly good news, offering support for impacted travelers, some even offering reduced fares on select routes. Now, the airline did release a statement this morning telling guests all flights have been canceled and customer service is no longer available. Travelers will automatically receive refunds for flights purchased with a credit or debit card, but those who booked using a voucher, credit, or points will be informed about compensation at a later date. Now, Spirit passengers are being told not to go to the airport. Instead, refer to the website spiritrestructuring.com for further guidance.
Imagine not knowing what's going on. Just think about it. There's a lot of people out here that didn't even know that Spirit was going out of business. These people booking flights, thinking they about to go on vacation, come back. Nah, you might be stuck out there. Now, they saying they're going to have discounted rates probably for those people impacted. It might be a little cheaper, but it's not going to be the same price Spirit was charging. Spirit used to have flights for the low.
All right, so everybody's talking about Spirit, right? So let me tell you how Spirit really fucked us, because not only did they, they shut down, so everybody that had flights, like, basically, they losing their flights. So what is really crazy about it is that if you booked with a credit card, eventually you'll get a refund. Not immediately, but allegedly you're gonna get a refund. If you book with credit, like if you book with a voucher or like points or something like that, they said you gotta wait till they go through the bankruptcy part. So that's gonna be forever. But the thing that pissed me off is I booked with my credit card. I booked with my Amex Platinum. So I should have got a full refund, right? But no, a week before my flight, they canceled. A week before my flight, they canceled my flight and gave me a voucher. Now, normally when Spirit cancels your flight, they rebook you on the next available flight. Did they do that this time? No, they gave me a voucher. So I had to rebook a whole nother flight. Totally different flight. Going from different airports too, because that was the only one that was the same amount as the voucher. Why? So now I'm not going to get a refund because I used the voucher. They set me up. They did that shit on purpose. They really set people up. I feel like they did that to a lot of people. So they don't have to pay people refunds. What a fucking scam.
Now, y'all might be wondering, how come Spirit didn't work out a deal with the government? Instead of going out of business, they could have still kept 10%. The government would have their 90% stake.
I'm sure you've heard by now that Spirit Airlines has officially shut down. But what you may not know is that they had to give the United States government the middle finger during these talks of a $500 million bailout because the U.S. was on some mess. And so here's what two things occurred that made them turn down the $500 million bailout. Number one, the U.S. government said, we want to take 90% of your stocks as we give you this $500 million bailout and then convert half of your fleet into military planes. Huh? Are we doing that bad in Iran that we need? Okay, no. So Spirit Airlines said, you can go ahead and sit on it and rotate. We're not doing that. And then the second thing that came out was, well, fine, if we give you this money, y'all have to pay us back first. Is the U.S. government that broke? We pining for $500 million? Trump just took $10 billion for his board of peace. Why y'all worried about $500 million? But Spirit was like, no, that's not how business works. We're a publicly traded company. We have to pay our investors first. Y'all don't have to wait. And the United States is like, no, we have priority because we're giving you the bailout. And they're like, no, this goes back to the Ford company. Like, this doesn't work. We need to pay our investors. And so the United States government was like, well, no, if you don't pay us, we don't give you money. And Spirit said, y'all have a good day. And they shut down after 34 years. And this is really sad, y'all, because the only real reason Spirit Airlines had to shut down is because of the war in Iran. This is literally because of the Trump administration's decisions. They forced them to shut down because the oil prices went through the roof because we attacked Iran for no reason, and they closed the Strait of Hormuz in retaliation of our attack that was for no reason. And the sad part about the whole thing is that Spirit Airlines was really working to keep flights affordable for regular people. That was their business model. And a lot of people were able to travel because of Spirit Airlines being so cheap, And they were around for 34 years, so that's not a short amount of time. They were doing pretty well. And it's sad because if you look at like the bullet trains and stuff in China and Japan and throughout parts of Europe, in China and Japan, domestic tourism is on the rise because bullet trains are cheap, relatively cheap and affordable. You can get up to faraway parts of your country for a reasonable price. Same for the sleeper buses, same for a whole bunch of things in the country. It's affordable. The transit is affordable. And the plane tickets are way cheaper than they are over here in the United States. Same thing for Europeans. They get to travel throughout Europe much more effectively. In some places still are a little tricky to get to. But overall, the transit systems, the bullet trains, the buses and everything allow people to travel. So they're visiting the other countries easily for cheap. But in the United States, the one company that's like vying to keep things cheap for the passenger shuts down because jet fuel prices went through the roof. This is a really sad day, y'all. They were trying to help people out and not just charge like crazy. Keep those costs down, and now they've suffered for it because the Trump administration made a poor decision attacking Iran, even though everyone knew they would close the Strait of Hormuz. This is a really sad day. Y'all have a good one.
Now, everybody that was saying, I don't get on Spirit, I don't want to hear y'all jumping on here complaining now, coming out the woodwork saying how you can't travel no more, how you got to book more expensive flights now. It's not a good time to be traveling in general. They want to stop travel, though. That's the thing. You really got to get to where you're going to get to and stay there. Travel for U.S. is about to be for the elite only. Not to mention when they start bringing out those carbon emission trackers telling you can't fly. You've purchased too much meat in the last 90 days. You can't fly because you have a past due mortgage. Y'all gonna hear about it later if you haven't heard about it yet. We getting closer and closer. stepping towards it. Each thing that happens, each major event that happens, or black swan event that happens in this country or in the world, worldwide, that affects this country.
It's not just that Spirit Airlines shut down and left people stranded. It's that 17,000 people are now out of a job. And currently, the United States has virtually zero job growth. Since Trump has taken office, we haven't been making jobs. In fact, we've been firing people from government jobs through like Doge, and like the green energy and infrastructure projects that they've been cutting, people have been losing those jobs. Electricians have been losing their jobs. Even my cat is outraged at this prospect. So it's the idea that now that 17,000 people are out of work, where are they supposed to go? And again, people are not understanding. Yes, Spirit Airlines was struggling. Yes, they got the bailout in 2022, all that stuff. But they were doing okay. What really pushed them over the edge was the war in Iran. Once the Strait of Hormuz was closed, those jet fuel prices went through the roof, and Spirit Airlines' model of keeping prices low could not compete with the price of jet fuel. It closed those profit margins way too much. But the problem is, this could happen to any company. Any external factor could affect their bottom line, where the profit margins are going to get so tight, there's just no point in staying open anymore. So Walmart could shut down, and Walmart's a major employer. If you look at Disney in Florida, Disney World could shut down, and they're a major employer in Florida. What happens if those companies shut down, just like Spirit? It's going to make a massive void. People aren't going to have work. There's nothing we can do because the administration's not making jobs. It's not about bailouts anymore, y'all. You see, my cat agrees. It's not about the bailouts, is it, huh? No. It's about, you have to have politicians that are stimulating economic growth, and we don't have that right now. And this is why voting matters. And this is why I said again,
Voting don't matter. Everything else he said was right on point, but voting don't matter. America has no job growth, essentially no job growth since Trump got in there. The same guy that promised to make America great and bring back the industries and whatnot, it's all lies. Now watch, Google it. You can Google it right now. I bet you we're stepping closer to universal basic income. Remember when they tested UBI in specific cities? They gave out $500 or $1,000 to a select small group. Those payments will be monthly, but at what cost? The goal that the WEF has is for people to get UBI. They call them worthless humans. What will we do with all these worthless humans? Give them drugs and video games. They're going to be in the metaverse with their VR headsets, in that augmented reality, owning nothing and being happy, right? I talked about this before. It was a dude, he lived in a cage like a dog, an animal, in real life. But in the metaverse, he was in a mansion and he was happy. Yeah, we getting closer, man. Remember, they said the NWO is in full effect. We feeling it, ain't we? It's time to get right.